Hello, this is Martin Soderberg, pianist and piano teacher, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Today I want to discuss the option of having piano lessons online. As someone that has taught hundreds of lessons online in the last few years, I wanted to share with you some of the advantages that I have observed with my students over the years. I know that some parents are not sure if this is a good option for learning an instrument, but I wanted to share what I know and what I have observed, and perhaps you will reflect on that and be willing to give it a try. So far, a lot of students are taking that choice and they're doing really, really well. So I made a list of some of the points that I see as positive points. Number one, the student has to make more effort and therefore pay more attention. And why do I say that? Well, when the teacher is not there next to the student, the teacher cannot solve your problems. So if you get lost or don't know exactly where you are or don't know what note this is, now the teacher cannot point to the music. The teacher can simply say, well, find where you are. What measure are you on? What measure do you remember being on last? Are you on the first page, on the second page? Keep in mind that students like to learn by ear. Most students feel more comfortable relying on their ear to replicate the music that they remember rather than reading music, which is a completely foreign language to them. So the main struggle that we have, usually teachers have with students, is the reading aspect of it. So now this forces them to look in the music, find the notes. The teacher can actually take the opportunity and ask students more questions. What note is in the bass in measure 14? Or what note is in the treble clef on measure 20? So now you're forcing the student to count measures, to look at the music, and to actually have a better understanding of the music, which is the second advantage that I see. The student has a more intimate knowledge of the score because now the student is being forced to look in the score more often. With the teacher not being there next to them, they feel like they're completely alone. They have to find where they are. And the teacher is a voice in the iPad or in the phone helping them and guiding them. But the teacher cannot physically tell the students where they are. So that's an advantage. Teachers can say something like, let's pick up a pencil. Please pick up a pencil. And let's do the fingering from measures 1 through 10. So now the student has to physically pick up a pencil and put fingerings on top of the notes with the help of the teacher online, who also has the music and who will say, well, let's put 1 on D, let's put 2 on E, 3 on F. Can you show me what you did? So now the student has to show the teacher what he or she did, and the teacher will approve. So there's no question that by having to do it yourself, it's more of a hands-on experience for the student. And therefore, there's a more intimate knowledge of the music that could translate into better memorization. It translates into being more confident when you perform the piece in public. So a lot of good things are happening because of that. The next point that is important is practice. Practice is usually the main reason why students quit lessons. Parents get frustrated. The kids don't practice. They love to play, but they don't like to practice. Well, we can now use this to our advantage. We can agree, parents and teachers, to meet more than once a week. Now we can have little practice sessions online for 10 minutes, 15 minutes at a time. And that could mean that you could either split your lesson into 2 or 3 sessions, or you can have an additional practice time where the student feels that their practice is being guided. That makes it easier for the student. It's like going to music school 2 or 3 times a week or more. It could be 5, 6, 7 days a week. It's all up to the parent and up to the teacher if they agree on a schedule. Now, the next important point, I think, is the convenience. It is an obvious point, and this is more for the parent than for the student. But there's no doubt that when there's no driving involved, no traffic, you don't have to be late for your lesson, you don't have to wait there until the student finishes their lesson. Those are all advantages for the parent, but also for the student. Because on a cold winter day, you don't feel like going out, you can have your online lesson right there. That's another advantage now, scheduling. Scheduling becomes a lot easier because now everyone has to be flexible. Teachers, parents, everyone has to be flexible and accommodate each other. That's one of the positives that I see in the current situation in the world. We all need to develop flexibility to adapt, to accommodate others, to do business in a way that is perhaps new and not comfortable for you, but we had to adapt. And I think that's within us. We have that ability. We as humans have the ability to adapt, to change. It's the history of the world. But going back to piano lessons, we can use scheduling now as an advantage because we don't have to meet the same day at the same time every week. We don't have to physically make the trip to the music school. We don't have to worry about being late. We don't have to worry about last minute cancellation because the teacher can probably open up another time, another day very, very easily. And that, of course, depends on the teachers and depends on how committed the teacher is to accommodating students. But I think it will be very successful for both teacher and parents if we agree on a flexible schedule. And finally, my final point is makeups. Makeups is usually another reason students quit lessons because they accumulate a number of makeups that haven't been taken yet. So now we get frustrated. The teacher cannot accommodate so many makeups. The parents doesn't want to have to do so many makeups. They would rather not have to. So now it becomes a lot easier to just either add time to the lesson or to do a little extra time next time, or to schedule a completely new lesson time. So makeups don't need to be accumulated anymore. I think the important thing here is to have options. And we do have options now. For example, one of them is the on-site option. Yes, when we reopen, we will still be able to offer the service of the on-site lesson. Number 2, the online lesson. And number 3, the at-home lesson. This is an option that I usually did not recommend in the past, but now I am being flexible and I am being understanding of the current situation. I realize that parents only control their environment at home. They know exactly how clean it is, how well disinfected it is, and they only feel safe and comfortable in their home environment. So if a teacher comes in to the home and sits 10 feet away from the piano, the teacher can still provide a successful teaching with those, let's call them limitations. It's not a limitation, but it's a different setup, because the teacher is used to being next to the student. But now it doesn't have to be that way. The reason I said options is because we don't have to meet every week in the same setup. we can have one lesson a month at the school when we reopen, or at the teacher's home, if that's agreed. We can meet in between online, and once in a while we can have a lesson at home, at the student's home. I think all those options will depend on whether or not the teacher can be flexible to accommodate students. But it's definitely an attractive option for the teacher to keep her students, and for the parent to have more flexibility, to be able to choose how, when, and where to meet. So I hope I will leave you with a little musical sample so that we can all reflect on the beauty of music and how the enjoyment of music is something that we need more now than ever. So I encourage you to consider or reconsider taking your lessons online at this time. And please feel free to contact me at any time through my website, martinsoderberg.com, and ask me any questions that you may have or any concerns about online learning. Well, until next time, I wish all of you all the best and good luck in the months ahead as we reopen, as we send the kids back to school, as we find ways to communicate better with each other, and as we try to live in a whole new world. So again, trust your ability to adapt. We have it in us, and we will adapt, and we're already adapting. So that's the thought I want to bring you today. Until next time, bye-bye.